My name's Richard Torshid. I'm the founder and vision holder for Conscious Ground. At Conscious Ground, our goal is to pursue our human potential. And we do that through grounding ourselves in the earth. We do that through working with food. We do that working consciously with others and animals and plants around us. You know, when you come here to study regenerative agriculture, whether you're studying humane animal husbandry or whether you're studying whole food cookery, in every one of those areas you start to learn how integrated they are into other components of what we do on a farm. We have a market garden because we have 40 people to feed every day. And a market garden works really well for that. We have a market garden, 3.5 acres, 2 more acres under cultivation in my mind, and we're getting ready to start building plans around them.
Well, we're into winter now, and it's actually the best time of year to grow things. So, we're just steadily building that production up, and now we're gonna, in about 4 weeks, we're probably gonna have too much. I hit the ground running during a big flooding rains. In this extreme event, I realized that the market garden was flooded. And so, lucky for me, there was already an excavator on site, and I was able to dig out the drainage trenches in between the rows and drain the market garden. So, within an hour, I could see the soil change color. So as the water receded, the bacteria and the fungi and everything just came back to life again. And we started gardening from there. It's a school and it's a farm blended together. And it's what we want to do is train permaculture trainers. So one of my jobs is permaculture mentor of the team leaders. So I train the trainers train the interns and so forth. The team leaders need teams to teach, so I'm working my way towards that, where each team leader has 5 to 10 students eventually, and so they'll understand how to train those people by the results they get from those people. Some of them develop specialist skills as well. They might say, I'm really good at animals now, or I'm really good at bees, or I'm really good at market gardening, and that stimulates them into a new job. I heard Bruno ask for a herb gardener. Okay, it's done today. So all the bits came together in my mind. Then I went and got Ryan to get some compost, got someone to get me some mulch, and then we just nailed it in 2 hours as a team. And everybody's really happy. And people feel good when they co-create. So that's what I wanted them to see, is like, you co-create, it builds our team, and it did. The Farmer Field School is an old ancient model, and here we have a farm, and here we have a field school. And I like to teach where we're actually working. So it'll give them it'll help them work together a bit more. And I want to see overlapping skills and overlapping activities. We're using an old nursery frame and putting a tarpaulin over it, so like a giant aircraft hangar tent. And then the container will be moved up next week. And then from there I'll get all the team leaders to do the design of it. And so they learn how to project manage it, design the project, all those kind of things.
We have 4,000 fruit-bearing trees with 150 varieties of fruit.
We've seen an explosion in citrus, so we've got an abundance on site now of mandarins, oranges, grapefruits, lemons, limes, and a big variety of kind of cultivars within those. Yeah, we've had a lot of interest from local food producers, so we're hoping to build up those relationships into the next quarter to supply our amazing locally grown organic produce.
We have Food Force, incredible gift from a real master, Banya, who led us into moving a citrus orchard into an incredible food production system with so many failovers in how it handles itself. The ecosystem is self-supporting, self-building.
Well, in the region that we live in, we're in this humid subtropical climate, forest is the natural pattern. So if we look at and understand how our ecosystem works best in this region, then forest is the answer to that.
One of the strengths of the food forest is that it's resilient. So we had a really long wet season, and when other areas of the farm were suffering, the food forest was pumping.
So this system doesn't need us all the time. When we're here and we're working it more, we get more for our returns. Often the precision timing of us needing to be here is a bit more flexible. we've had a big issue in the food forest we've inherited has been a drainage system of swales which essentially all runs to one point and creates a sort of erosional waterfall down towards a habitated area at the hive, which has been a big problem. So we've actually had a problem to deal with. We need to redirect some of the water that runs through the food forest across the next slope through a swale system, which opens up a whole new opportunity for plantings as well. So our expansion is sort of partly dealing with the problem that we've inherited by prior earthworks, and now opens up this possibility for a whole bunch more new plantings of bigger trees. So essentially it gives us a chance to refine the lessons we've learned in the last 3 years, choose the species we want to work with more, and create a much more streamlined system to evolve for the future.
With climate change, we might get a lot of our farming areas knocked off, and so these students are going to go all over Australia, and they're going to take our system with them. And somewhere in Australia, we're growing food for Australians, no matter what's happening with the climate.
So this quarter, we've produced about 5,000 litres of concentrate tea, and that's due to a higher demand. And I think going forward, as demand increases, as we spray out more areas of the farm on a more regular basis, as those systems become implemented, the yield will probably double by the next quarter.
Healthy livestock and raise them in a holistic manner where they rotate. No animal sits on the same pasture for more than a couple of days. We generally rotate everything daily.
Yeah, so pretty exciting collaboration with Aiden. We had the longans that we've been harvesting from the last couple months. They were just finishing up, so they pruned those trees back. We put the cattle through, they helped knock down all the plant matter in there.
And they ate all of the cover crop. They also pruned a bit of the trees for us, so they'll go in and remove those lower leaves, which is great food for them.
And then we ran the chickens through really intensively for 3 weeks, and they opened up all that space, which lots of fertilizer on the ground, as well as opening up a lot of space for seeds to be thrown. So we then just recently sowed a winter cover crop, sprayed that with compost tea and locked it up for the winter time. So just really amazing impact for our longan orchard.
Well, it's great to see the animals doing a lot of the work in the garden, and that's the way it should be. And I think that we'll see some improvement in the soil there.
We've also wrapped up our pig production considerably. We had only 5 pigs at that original trial stage, and we have over 20 now. We've also added a breeding pair, so a sow and a boar, that will be giving us around a dozen piglets each litter, and they can do that twice a year. So we're going to be producing a lot more pork in the future, which is really exciting, as well as having a lot more pigs on the land, which are doing that great impact.
You know, pigs really dig it up, and they dig their own manure in, and pigs have this kind of magical touch to the land that I've seen, like when I went over the Philippines. Whenever we put the pigs through, things grow really well.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had the bees in a small area and seen a big improvement on the quality and quantity of our crop.
The key thing that's happened this year that has never happened before is that we moved one of our Kenyan top bar hives into the longan orchard at exactly the time that the longans were flowering.
To begin with, the bees were a little unsure. They had to get used to flying in and out of the net.
It's to protect them from birds, but often it can shut out the pollinators. So to have the bees inside the net meant that they were already in there, and they were more likely to find their way out than find their way in. If you have a hive on the outside, they're not going to go through the net to get to the flowers, but if they're inside, they'll find their way out and work and learn how to come in and out, which is exactly what our bees have done. We have had one of the best harvests we've ever had this year. The trees have actually been groaning dripping with fruit. We've had so much fruit.
So they're making great nutritious honey for us with the pollen of the local plants. And we've also had our biggest crop of longans. So the pollination from the bees has had a massive impact on our crop.
Focus on growing food at Conscious Grounds is a starting point, and when we're talking about the whole food cycle, we cover every single aspect of food, starting from the soil to the plants to the animals that work and integrate into the land. And we also look at the end cycle of the food, so that's where the cookery program comes into, and we're focusing on maximising the nutrient potential of food.
Yeah, the last 3 months has been busy, very rewarding. Lots is going on, and then we really applying ourselves to make the beautiful vision of Conscious Grounds. Here we have this incredible opportunity to be in full contact with every cycle of the food production. Animal team, market garden or agroforestry, different type of farming. So it's so important to be in contact and see that produce that will come in the next few weeks or in the next few days, and then that's what will inspire us into the menu, really. Biggest learning in the kitchen is every day. Every day we serve breakfast, lunch for our crew, which is 30, 35 people. Every day is different, depends what nature gives us, and we have to be creative in a way to what's the best way to use that produce we have today.
And it's great to see that production go to the kitchen, and then I go to lunch, and there's everything I grow cooked, fantastically. The kitchen crew under Bruno produces something you couldn't buy in a restaurant.
We have 2 members in the kitchen team at TAFE doing a training for cert-free cookery. And it's really good for them to have these 2 perspectives. Yeah, so it's the 2 together. It's I think a good experience for them. Try to have a commitment for 3 months, because the biggest learning in the kitchen is every day.
It's not just about the food, it's not just about the product, which is mind-blowing already, but it's the method, the work ethics. They're very important, and I've learned a lot, and I can see it already.
One of our workshops, we went with Nick on the farm, the animal team, and there was great experience for everyone to really understand the role of the animal.
So the pork that we've been producing, I think, is some of the best quality you could ever find. It's living outside, obviously, how it's supposed to be living, but it's also eating such a diversity of plants. All that's going into their meat, and they're living outside in the sun. I think, yeah, it's really exciting to be able to provide that to the kitchen.
That's the meat I want to eat. I don't want to eat any other meat. So the quality is, I would say, unbeatable. These people are the people who grow the food that they're eating. So that's the magic.
Our top 3 deliverables in the organisation, the first one is people care and communication. That's something that we value as number 1. So we spent 2 days off-site on the leadership training, and we worked with Impact HR to deliver this training, and it really was focused on heart-led leadership. So feeling first rather than thinking and acting. So we follow the model of feel, think and then act. And so we're connecting into the heart space as well as the head space when we're making decisions and interacting with each other. We're not just growing food, but we're also growing our people. That to me is how we create and affect the biggest change, when we empower our people with the wisdom and enable them to make those choices, informed choices through living and learning and gaining that wisdom.
Coming to Conscious Ground makes me immensely happy. And I could look at the joy on the face of people that are doing their greatest passion every single day. It's hard, it takes a lot of effort, there's nothing easy about farming, okay? It's full of joy, it's full of friendship, it's full of challenges and triumph, right? It is that experience, not the accomplishments, it's the accomplishment of the people working together and the connections they make. And that is what in the last 9 months has allowed us to excel. Our teams are working together. That's my single proudest thing that's happened at Conscious Ground.
Watching the team's growth, I think, for me, is the most inspiring and motivating part of what I do here at Conscious Ground.
And now I rock down to the farm. I'm down there with the crew. They're happy, they get along. Every single team jives with the other one. They know what's going on with them. They know what they need. They work together.
One of the projects that our team completed this last quarter was the Spirit Garden, which is probably my favourite accomplishment. The Spirit Garden is recognition that there is something so much more beyond us that is so powerful, and if we can tap into it and acknowledge it, tune into it, that we can achieve so much more. So it is a really beautiful space, and it probably is my favourite achievement for the last quarter.
We continue to have some great speakers coming here and also some really fantastic events. The Byron Bay Community College visited us today, 21 people. 2 of them were trainers, and they had 19 senior students doing their Cert 3 in permaculture. And it was a day for them to see permaculture in action on a real farm.
This last 6 months has been really focused on building our infrastructure. We had less than 100,000 liters of water available. Our catchment was really small from our roofs. We've increased our catchment 6-fold. We've moved to over 1 million liters of water stored on property.
We went through a wet season, leading up to a wet season, and we actually wanted to collect as much water as we can because the water capacity of a facility like this was minimal.
We have nearly doubled the amount of dam water that we hold on this property. Everything from putting in the allowed new dam that we're able to do to going in right now where we're going in and cleaning up dams that we have, removing silt and making them, revitalizing them and making them healthy dams again.
That silt's been in the dam, that dam's been there for a good 20 odd years. It's never been cleaned out. All that water, the catchment comes down from the hills up above, and so there's a lot of contributing factors. So we need to take it step by step on a logical viewpoint and do what we can to bring that quality up.
Bringing aeration systems in. We had pump station not working. We've rebuilt our pump stations, built our filtration systems in.
So that for me is a beautiful system now we can step away from and don't have to worry so much about water.
We've brought in solar power to make sure that we have our own power to run this farm. Expect to have over 64 kilowatts running within the next month, with half of it up already, and probably getting up in excess of 80 kilowatts. So the goal here was to regain our food sovereignty, our water sovereignty, and our power sovereignty.
So yeah, we do have another project of moving the cattle yards from the location of where they are now up to the pig shed. A lot of strategic planning needs to be put in place, a lot of talking, but it's cool, it's happening. It's really good to have, really cool people around like Jason and Brett to find solutions. I'm talking about pest control. How do we do that without using chemical? So the owl boxes play a big role in that.
So it takes usually about 100 to 200 years for a hollow to form. There's no trees around here that are that old, so the next best thing is nest boxes. It's not just habitat for owls, it's habitat for everything. But owls are our preferred species on this property, if we can get them.
When we're looking at all of the different causes that we can support, looking at whether it's about saving the whales or the rainforest, the common denominator in that story is humans. And we are the victim and the cause of our own suffering. And so my whole purpose, my life purpose, is to create that positive change through empowering people with education. And that, I believe, is what our mission is at Conscious Ground.
Here working with Regenerative Ag, we have the capacity to affect a global change. And I saw what we would be doing here would be a light that we would shine out into the world.